It's bittersweet. Anson Mount reacts to Strange New Worlds ending after Season 5. There's a hush over the fandom. The stars still gleam, the warp cores hum, yet the knowledge that Star Trek Strange New Worlds will conclude after its 5th season lingers like a melancholic echo through the corridors of the Enterprise-class vessels we've come to love. For Anson Mount, whose portrayal of Captain Christopher Pike has become a lodestar to many fans, the news carries a duality: pride and sadness, hope and longing. As he reflects on the journey, his words carry the weight of someone who has lived inside this story and must now watch it approach its terminus. The captain comes full circle. When the announcement first broke that the upcoming 5th season will be the show's final one, Mount's reaction was measured, yet unmistakably heartfelt. At a Strange New Worlds premiere event, he described the development as bittersweet, highlighting how deeply the end of a story resonates after years of commitment. He acknowledged the promise and burden of being part of a prequel series, to build toward a larger canon, to honor what came before, and yet to furnish characters with compelling arcs of their own. In his view, the show has always walked the tightrope of telling new stories while converging with the lineage of Star Trek lore. But now, with the finish line in sight, Mount's voice reflects both gratitude for what Strange New Worlds has achieved and a wistful recognition of what must be left unasked, undone, or relegated to the imagination. The weight of farewell. To say goodbye to a series is more than ending a job or closing a contract. It's closing a home. Over multiple seasons, Mount's Pike has been a guide, a moral compass, a dreamer forced to confront mortality and fate. The intimate connection between actor and character deepens over time, and endings become personal. Mount has signaled that, though the decision was not easy, there's something right about ending at a peak rather than overstaying the welcome. The word bittersweet echoes because he understands that endings grant perspective, the chance to look back, to see what was built and what resonated, but also heightens the absence of what could have been. In interviews, he's avoided lamenting lost opportunities or playing victim to cancellation. Instead, there's dignity in his tone. He hints that mounting pressures behind the scenes, network decisions, production constraints are real, but secondary to the narrative's demands. One can almost sense him taking a deep breath, as one would before delivering a final monologue. A promise to the fans. Mount often addresses the fans, or the people who carry Star Trek in their hearts, as he might phrase it, with genuine respect. He recognizes that their enthusiasm, loyalty, and emotional investment have powered the show's momentum. Many fans express heartbreak at the thought of no further seasons, and some speculate whether spin-offs or films could continue the story. Mount doesn't dismiss those hopes, but he frames them cautiously, aware of both possibilities and limitations. He might say, "We owe the fans a proper farewell, not an abrupt fade-out, and I believe we're going to do that right." This echoes what the show's producers have done behind the scenes, fighting to secure a final season in which they can craft a satisfying conclusion. Mount could reflect on his own pride in what Strange New Worlds has meant to viewers, how the show reached new audiences, deepened interest in Pike and his crew, and gave fans months and now years of hope, wonder, and emotional resonance. The farewell is not just about endings. It's about how the journey resonates beyond the credits. Bridging past and future, one of the central challenges and joys of Strange New Worlds is its relationship to existing Star Trek canon. The show exists as both origin story and fresh narrative canvas, balancing the known fates of characters like Pike's eventual injury or Kirk's future command with surprises and internal logic. Mount has long acknowledged that Pike's fate is woven into the tapestry of Star Trek. That awareness shapes how he approaches performance. He knows his trajectory is not wholly free, but that within those boundaries, there is room for dignity, for nuance, for moral struggle and triumph. In responding to the show's impending end, Mount might reflect on how the writers and producers have labored to harmonize the show's finale with the broader franchise. He might express gratitude for the creative team's courage to lean into the inevitability of canon while still allowing emotional stakes. In that balancing act lies the bittersweetness. They must honor what already is, but still surprise and compel. Looking forward, what will live on? Even as Strange New Worlds approaches its end, Mount's hope is that the show's influence continues. He may speak of the characters, Una, Spock, Lon, Nyota, or Tegas, as storied companions whose threads won't vanish overnight. He might share optimism that future Star Trek projects will carry forward themes inspired by this era: moral inquiry, exploration, hope in adversity. Occasionally, he may entertain the possibility of returning in cameo or guest form, perhaps in later timeline stories, or in spin-offs that pick up threads left dangling. But he would temper such speculation with realism. I don't want to promise anything I can't keep, but I would never say never. For Mount, the true legacy is emotional connection. If viewers recall a single monologue, a moment of vulnerability on the bridge, a choice Pike made under pressure, then the series has done its work. He might offer this affirmation: we have aimed to tell something that matters, to feel, to question, to connect. If that lives on, then the end is not really an erasure, but a passage. In his own words, imagined, but anchored in reality, greater than this is not just the end of a television show. It's the end of a chapter in my life, and in the lives of the cast, crew, and fans. We have loved this world, breathed it, argued within it, cheered it on. To say that I am proud is an understatement, and to say that I will miss it is truer still. There is a responsibility in endings. You can't just cut off emotion, you can't abandon your characters mid-flight. We've known this was coming, but knowing doesn't always soften the goodbye. I don't think of it as closure so much as transition. The story ends here, but the meanings, the friendships, the ideas, they don't end. They carry forward in conversations, in imaginations, in the sparks they lit. If I could ask one thing of the fans, it's this: hold fast to what strange new worlds meant to you. Carry it onward. Be curious, be kind, be bold. That's always been Pike's hope, and that's always been mine. The bittersweet in context. Why does bittersweet resonate so cleanly in this context? Because few things in storytelling feel so vivid as endings that are earned. A show that merely fades away or is canceled mid-arc leaves only frustration. But a show that knows its limits, that approaches the finish line intentionally, that allows characters, writers, and audiences to say goodbye, imbues those final episodes with weight. Yet in that weight lies sadness. The end signals absence. No more new adventures with this cast and crew. No more tomorrow's warp missions with Captain Pike at the helm. No new revelations given life in this particular era. It also magnifies the final season's risk. Will it fulfill on the promise, or will it falter under the weight of expectations? Mount's optimism suggests he believes in the creative team's ability to deliver something resonant. He trusts their vision, having lived inside it. But he also knows that endings rarely satisfy entirely, and perhaps that's part of their beauty. They remind us of impermanence, of choice, of the memories we carry. Why this matters? For Star Trek, every iteration contributes to a deeper mosaic. Strange New Worlds rekindled a posture of hopeful exploration, blending episodic curiosity with serialized emotional beats. It gave Pike room to be more than footnote in canon. It allowed the ensemble to breathe. That such a series is ending, especially when many contemporary shows coast indefinitely or collapse abruptly, is a reminder of the bravery in finite storytelling. Mount's reaction, then, doesn't just mark a personal moment. It marks a cultural one, a chance to honor narrative rhythm, to accept that even the most poignant journeys must conclude. Beyond that, Mount's role as figurehead of this era carries symbolic weight. His reaction is a bridge between the